Hi, this is Jason Wennick from the Creative Workshop, and you're listening to Gearheads and Gasoline Podcast.
There was a lot of really positive things from working with Riley and all of them, and also imposter syndrome. So like that, the imposter syndrome is a sign of growth. You
Mhm.
need to be, if you're in a room and you're very comfortable in that room, it means that you're in the wrong room. You need to go to a room where you're uncomfortable, because not uncomfortable like you're going against your own personality kind of uncomfortable. The uncomfortable where you're like, wow, I need to bring more to the table. And wow, they're doing a lot. Wow, they're really far ahead. You want to be surrounded by those people that also want to help you learn. Like if they're talking down to you and being, whatever, you can make your own table.
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline Podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gearheads and Gasoline, powered by Redline Oil and AMD. I'm Barry Alt with Motorhead Digital, and joining me as guest host today is Katie Abraham from Ironman 4x4. Today, we're excited to welcome Christina Lardie, who's a self-proclaimed gearhead in training, to the show. Welcome, Christina.
Hello, thank you
Welcome,
for having me.
Christina.
Oh, we're excited for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's early there, right?
Yes. I don't usually wake up this early. I set my alarm for 7, making sure that I was awake and ready to go by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person either. The nice thing is that everyone I work with is on the West Coast. So sometimes I'll wake up 6:30 and start working just to get a head start while no one's needing anything. But then a lot of times I'm like, I've been traveling a lot. I think I'm going to just not set my alarm and see what time I wake up.
I hear you, Warren. We're
it's
the
usually about
opposite, right? Where I'm on Eastern, and every time I'm doing business or sending emails, especially with SEMA people, a lot of them are on the West Coast. I'm like, okay, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Let me schedule this for like noon. So it doesn't get lost in their inbox, right?
Well, it probably gets late for you though, because we're 3 hours behind. And if we want to do something later in the afternoon, that like it might make your days a little bit longer. Like it starts a little bit later, but like 8 o'clock is when most people on this side of the US gets off
8
work.
o'clock Eastern. Yeah. I've actually sat on the couch at 7 o'clock at night watching TV, sending emails to people on the West Coast because I know they're still working.
Yep. Yeah, that we oftentimes will have calls with Australia, and that's always a tough one for East Coasters because like for me, it's not nearly as bad. If they want to do something, it'll be like 5 or 6 o'clock, sometimes 7, but then, you're looking at 8, 9 o'clock at night and you're like, this is really getting into the me time. I'm very much like 7 o'clock is like the absolute latest cutoff time. Like I've got to stop working.
Yeah, for sure. And that's still late for us. I try to be out of here by 6:30 at the latest, and that's Eastern time.
Yeah.
So anyways.
So Christina, to kind of jump us off here and get into some fun stuff, what would you say is your favorite drink? Could be adult or non-adult. Shoot.
Pine float or blue dolphin.
I have never heard of either of those.
You're going to have to explain.
So
pine float?
A pine float is a water with a toothpick in it. I drink water. Like I don't. Blue dolphin is like another word. I mean, I might be dating myself. Younger kids now might be going like, what is that? But when I was in like 21, blue dolphin was like the code word for water. So I used to drink, but since I got married, drink at all. So
pine float.
So water's your go-to? No, like tea or like I'm a big Arnold Palmer fan. Love Arnold Palmer's. Just water, huh?
Yeah, that's my go-to. I drink a gallon or more a day usually. And here in California, the water, like our not all parts of California, San Francisco water can be kind of weird, but where we're at, our tap water is pretty good. We use a filter thing to make it even taste
Mhm.
better. But yeah, I like our water a lot here, and I don't like mixing things with it usually. If I
Mhm.
do, it's my amino acids, my hydration stuff, like all health
Yeah.
stuff to like magnesium at night. But my go-to is water.
Yeah. Don't tell
Good.
Eddie Sabreco, one of our other guest co-hosts, if that you drink Desanti. He won't ever talk to you again. So hope you're not drinking Desanti.
Tap
No,
water.
he
Oh,
doesn't like Dasani?
you'll find out in the next episode that's coming out.
Oh, like full of microplastics?
Might
I
be.
mean,
I
they
don't.
all
He
are,
didn't
but
say why. But anyways, Christina, you and I met briefly a couple years ago at the SEMA show, and then I think we met at this year's SEMA show and at PRI maybe. But I want to know where the Gearhead and training came about. How did you come up with that, and why?
It it was really neat. So I am a lifestyle influencer first before the automotive introduced itself. And one of my mentors, she is a fitness influencer and she was on YouTube before YouTube like blew up. And I was a part of her husband's coaching group and she was hosting a call talking about YouTube. Listen to her talk about it. At the end, I'm just thinking, and it came to me. Well, what if I started a channel called Christina's Garage Gearhead in Training, coming from like the newbie perspective? And mind you, I hadn't put hands on my car. I'd had my car sitting in the garage for a while after my dad passed, and I hadn't really. I was too afraid to kind of put hands on it and all this other stuff. So I was like, well, maybe. And if she would have deterred me or gone, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have like face planted my way into it. Except she's like, yeah, go for it, do it. I'm like, well, I've never like edited on like computers. No, you have a cell phone, no problem, you can do it. So it just came to me in the middle of that call that I don't know where I heard anything that made me think of it, but coming from the newbie perspective and I didn't think like super in depth about it, but it just was like one of those things like, oh, it came to me.
Mhm.
Nice.
Super cool. What, what in particular made you go towards Gearhead? Like you said, the fitness aspect is what kind of spurred the initial idea. What was it that made you go for cars? Since it sounds like this was your first dive into being hands-on on cars as well, or had you been hands-on on cars before? I find that so interesting that you were just like you said, face plant into working on cars, which is a huge undertaking.
I had plans to do it. So my dad was really into cars, really into classic cars. His nickname before he got hired at the fire department was Greasy Gary because he's always like tinkering and he used to get in trouble for stealing things. My my godmother told me when my dad was living with her, he got sent to Southern California from Northern California, Bay Area, San Francisco because he was getting into trouble. He got sent down there and he was living with her and her husband and my dad got along really well. And she came home one day or woke up and there was a boat on the side of the house that just she said, when I get home, that better be gone. Kind of thing. So he wasn't like bad criminal type stuff, but he liked cars and had sticky fingers in certain
Stuff
areas.
disappeared, huh?
And yeah, and he loved working on cars, motorcycles, and he loved helping people with that kind of stuff. And then he went on his journey to join the fire department. Like I wasn't alive then, so I don't know like the whole timeline. He directly wouldn't talk to me about it. I had to get stories from other people. But he was really into that. And then with the fire department, then having kids, and then my parents were divorced, and he got remarried, and then had more kids. So he had I'm the oldest of his five, so he didn't have cars for a while, and then the last handful of years before he passed, he started getting cars, not for himself. They were cars specifically for each of the siblings. And then with my stepmother, specifically to be projects. So the Camaro I have in my garage, he bought with the intent, my name was on the papers from the get-go with his, for us to be a father-daughter project. So
That's cool.
when he passed, it was the unibody on jack stands, completely stripped, except for some headliner and like some of the dash left. He had a guy working on some body work and like stripping the paint. So having no experience, afraid to jump a battery because I didn't want to shock myself, didn't know how to change a tire. And then I got injured and retired out about the time my dad passed. So I didn't really know what to do physically too, because I can't do everything by myself. I need physical help and also educational help. And after he passed, I started sending parts to places. Like the rear end I sent to a local place. And then I sent the body because it didn't even have my logo is what the car looked like right after my dad passed. And that's my artist used images of my car to make that. So it didn't have the body on the front. It was just the subframe, no engine, nothing in it. And I didn't know what to do. Sent it to these places, hoping that I could get the car done. I was like, I'm going to get the car done in like 5 years. Yeah, 5 years is definitely passed. I wanted to get it done, but when the car got back from the body shop, when I got the rear end back, I felt so disconnected. I didn't know I don't even know how to take the fender back off. I didn't know how they did all of these things. So I just let it sit for a while. I had gone to Hot August Nights and like met with Richmond and all the, like, my dad had parts. I took all the parts and I went to the different booths going, what is this? What do I do? My husband was with me. He's not a car guy at all, which is kind of funny. Like, definitely role reverse. He's the one going, can we go now? And I'm yeah, and he's like, I'm hungry, and I'm talking
Fantastic.
for hours. Typical car people, right? Like, we will talk forever. My husband is like pale, like I'm ready to go.
Oh, is he like my wife when we go to car
but-
shows? We get big car shows. She's like, yep, they're all looking the same to me.
He's like, can I just look at it, not talk to anybody? He doesn't like to go to car shows with me because I'm also, not only am I in car mode, I'm in work mode too. So it's like all of it all together. So the YouTube was accountability, also encouragement. Also, it gave me an opportunity to talk with people because I didn't know, because of my back, and also I don't want to become a mechanic professionally. I'm not going to go to school to do it. I'm one of the integrity to me, like, I'm not going to sign up for a class and go, sorry, I can't lift that. Can you help me? Like, it just, also because I'm a girl, like, it's just one of those things that I just like, well, I'd prefer to learn from the people and only for my car. I don't need to take a class and tests and all that stuff. But people are paid to do the job and send it to, they're not paid to teach the customer everything and why and send them pictures all throughout. So it was, I didn't know how to connect with people so I could learn about the products that I was putting in my car and how to do it. So the YouTube was great for that as well. So that's long story, kind of short story on how that.
How did you, with all that said, next thing you know, you're at SEMA. How did you even know about SEMA? How did you get accepted to SEMA? Because generally, to be a SEMA member or even go to the show, you have to be in the industry.
That was Richmond Gear, Motive Gear. They were the first people that I talked to at Hot August Nights and about the whole thing. And I met their lead engineer, Greg, and we were just talking. I didn't know he was the lead engineer. Like, I don't know who people are. Like, I'm talking with people, no idea. And people like, you're talking to the president of so-and-so and whatever. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just carrying on a conversation. And I had been talking back and forth with Greg for some time. And then I stopped talking for a while because I didn't put hands on the car. And I had a Richmond Doug Nash and a Doug Nash a Richmond 5-speed and a Doug Nash 4+1. Had no idea like what they were. And Greg got me in contact with someone who originally worked for Richmond when it was Richmond, but apparently it was Doug Nash. Then Richmond Doug brought out Doug Nash, and then the transmissions are both exactly the same. It just has different labeling because of Richmond owning Doug Nash, and then the umbrella company for Richmond Gear, Motive Gear, and all of that now own them. So I learned through Greg what I had in my garage. And when I started the YouTube, I reached back out and I was like, hey, it'd be kind of cool to learn a little bit more about the transmissions and what I want to do. And do you want to do some content with me? And the marketing guy, Steve, they got me to connect it, it's all about relationships, right? And he's like, hey, have you been to SEMA? Like, I thought that like I couldn't get into SEMA, that it was like this big thing. It's people's like unicorn, right? So many people are, I've always wanted to go to SEMA. I've never been.
The Gears and Gasoline podcast is proudly sponsored by Redline Synthetic Oil. With a legacy of excellence and over 100 premium products, Redline provides motor oils, gear oils, assembly lubes, fuel additives, and water wetter for the automotive, racing, motorcycle, marine, and industrial markets. Known for their exceptional quality and technical expertise, Redline is trusted by enthusiasts and professionals alike. Discover their full range of products and expert support at redlineoil.com.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
To go to SEMA. I've never been. And me, like only a few months into starting my YouTube, like when you go back and look through all my videos, like SEMA was one of the first ones where I was posting every week, but it was really early on in when I started doing all this content. And it was because Richmond Motive Gear invited me out and they liked what I did. So they invited me to PRI, and then they invited me the next year. And then this last year, I got like a double invite because I participated in Road to SEMA with Riley's Rebuilds as well. And that it just, people took chances on me. That's exactly why I was like, I don't know how I did. I just kind of continued to show up and ask questions and just being humble about it, like I know exactly. I mean, recently I've had to check myself going, everybody you're surrounded by moves a lot faster than you. It is okay that you are working at a snail's pace because everybody around me is extremely experienced.
Yeah. Well, and Barry knows that this is one of my favorite topics of how to be successful in this industry, and really any industry, is you did the legwork of showing up, putting yourself out there and saying, hey, I'm here. I want to do these things. Give me an opportunity and I'll show up. And then you showed up and you did the things, and you're like, I am just 3 months in, and didn't let that deter you. So, kudos, snaps, whatever to you for putting yourself out there, because many people cannot do that. And that is the difference between success and, I wouldn't say failure, but short-term success and long-term success. So great job. That's fantastic.
Awesome. And
that is
asking the questions and wanting to show up and then showing up, right? There's so many people that talk the talk, but don't walk the walk, right? And people remember that, right? So it's huge. And
it's hard sometimes because, especially as an influencer, content creator, and we talked about this a little bit before, that there's a lot of, what's the word for it? Entitlement that you see, not that everybody is, but there's a lot of entitlement of you need to pay me for this. And, like, obviously everybody, in order to do well in life, you need to be able to bring in an income so you can continue doing better and pour into everybody's cups. And I'm still working on that. But like, I live by providing value first and then negotiate later, and build a relationship first, and trying to find out like how do I authentically show up. And people don't know what to do, especially since like this is new. Social media is new in the grand scheme of things. Like some people are like, oh, it's been around for forever. But like in reality, like it's pretty new. Like print media, that's been around, and people know what print media is. People know when you're talking about a TV show. People know when you're talking about even podcasts are easier to start that conversation. But when you go, hey, I would like to do some content. Can I just interview you and ask you questions or whatever? People are wondering, and they ask, like, are you charging something for this? Like, what is your motivation? Like, why are you here? Because some people will show up and they have alternative motives. I'm like, nope, this is just me. I'm curious, I'm learning, and let's kind of see where it goes from there. So it's been an interesting journey to have those conversations with people, where I have specifically with someone locally. I was talking with him at a car show and expressed my interest in wanting to learn a little bit more, and then he contacted me later after I had posted the interview. He actually apologized. He's like, hey, sorry, I was kind of rude to you, wasn't I? I'm like, no, you weren't. He's like, but like, I feel kind of bad. And I was able to pick up on it that he was just more reserved because he didn't know who I was, what I was all about. And not that he was being rude. He was just a little bit more closed off, which is fine. Like, that's not a judgment. And I wasn't upset about it. But it just meant a lot that he actually came back and said, hey, like, I noticed, like, I don't know what it was. I feel really bad about it. I'm like, no, like, it's totally fine. I get it. And we did actually a follow-up interview at his shop, and it was a really cool interview because he was talking about how he got into cars. It was because of his brother, his late brother. So I like to ask those like nitty gritty questions, not just what is this part? What does it do on the car? Which is great. I like to know why people get into things, who their inspiration is. I like the small business, family run things, like kind of like what you guys do, right? You're trying to ask all these questions. Like that is what interests me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what this podcast is about, to understand how our guests get into the industry, how they support the industry, but how they bring value to their customers and their vendors and things like that. Katie knows a lot more about influencers than I am because she's working with some, but you what you said about parts and things like that, you can't come in as an influencer and just expect companies to give you stuff, right? And you can't fill somebody's inbox up with requests for stuff. Wink, wink, right, Katie?
Yeah, I'm dealing with that
it's going to end
presently.
up in the trash bin or blocked as spam. You have to bring value. You have to understand the company, not just go, oh, geez, I need this or that.
Oh, that just happened. Someone sent me a pitch deck and it had our old logo on it that changed years ago. And I was like, not a good first step. Like, you probably should have done more research before you sent me this pitch deck. Appreciate you put a pitch deck together, but you could tell that it's the same pitch deck that they send to everybody, and they just changed the logo out. So I'm like,
wrong.
Not great, not a good foot forward.
Yeah, you got to do the homework, right? And do the research. And sometimes you have to do stuff ahead of time without expecting anything in return.
1000%. And that's so many things. Even me as the company coming in with some of these content creators or influencers, they have gotten to the point where they are the ones that are very selective because they create such fantastic content, and they've really, they've developed this partnership group that they work with for years. And, I want to break into that because their audience connects with the audience I need to connect with, or they're expanding in a market that I really want to be in. So how do I bring value back around for them? Because they don't need parts anymore. Their vehicles are built out, you know, things like that. So it
Yeah,
goes both
that's
ways,
interesting.
but yeah, it's an ebb and flow, but it's challenging for you, Christina, also because everybody and their brother wants to be an influencer now. I mean, it is the amount of emails that I get is just obscene. Like we just had a discussion yesterday on a marketing meeting where I was like, we've got to start sending them to the generic inbox. Because it's just, I was gone for 4 days and I came back to 150 emails and only 5 of them were actually like job
Oh,
related.
wow. An hour and a half later,
Which
you're
bogs
still
me
going
down.
through all these emails, right?
Well, yeah, and it's like I want to review them because I want to give them the time of day. Like I'm that person when I compete in different motorsports and I need sponsors, but typically I get a connection of like someone I know that knows that person. I'm like, hey, would you mind doing an intro and saying, hey, this person is looking for XYZ instead of just cold emailing. So that's the thing too. But you have your hands full, but it sounds like you've been able to make a space for yourself that's so passion driven and different from what a lot of other people are doing, and that it's been successful. But also the people you're connecting with, like being part of Riley's rebuilds and that journey to SEMA, and then the Jesse Combs Foundation. It looks like you've done some things with them as well. Like huge steps forward there. Was that a connection that you just made through SEMA or through other channels? How did you get connected with Riley and with JCF?
So the first year at SEMA, I had met with Willwood before because they do other events. And then I was going to the booths that I knew just to say hi and meet with people. And I met with Miguel at the Willwood booth, and he goes, oh, hey, have you been over to the She Shed? So that was the year that they were all together in one area. I'm like, no, I have no idea. And mind you, I came from a male dominated from EMS, right? I'm a retired first responder in the ambulance, and I didn't really have many girlfriends before anyway. I've always been more of a tomboy, and also healing my relationship with other women because women can be very catty. So I am not used to showing up to a large group of women and going, hi. No, I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes. And this is like my first intro to women within the automotive industry. Like I've seen like people at car shows, but usually the women that I see aren't in the automotive industry.
Yeah, they're just car models.
Yeah, like car models, or like just a wife that has a car because her husband, or sometimes a daughter or something, but like people who aren't truly in the industry. I didn't have any of I had no connections to begin with, but even at Hot August Nights, I didn't see too many women at the manufacturer booths and stuff like that. So going to the She Shed, like women everywhere. I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes. I'm just gonna, and I struggle with anxiety and depression, and like I struggle with suicidal ideations a lot. So like these are things that I like not battle with. I don't like to use that term, but I have like the conversation in my head and the emotions that go all the time. So people think, oh yeah, you're an extrovert. You can go up to people. Like I go up and not know it. No. I'm an introvert that needs to be extroverted in order to connect with people and to do better. So I am going to this large group of women, like scared out of my mind, just going up and can I interview you? And some people like I didn't hit it off like right away. Not that we had a bad interaction, but I can read a room too, right? So I'm like, okay, talk to this person, talk to Teresa Contreras. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, I like her. I was able to interview her. We started talking, and then she's like, hey, there's a carburetor rebuild So I did the carburetor rebuild with Riley, and I met Riley through that. And then I met Dane, and then they heard my story. And then we talked over the last few years. And then, because this last year was my 3rd year at SEMA. So it's been a build from talking about providing value, right? I wasn't asking for any parts. I wasn't asking, I was asking for interviews. I was asking for maybe I did some shop tours, but I wasn't asking for any kind of sponsorship for travel. I wasn't asking for people to pay for content. I wasn't asking for any of that. I was just education and people's time is what I was asking for in exchange. So it took all that time. And then Riley added me in on this group, said, hey, we're going to do the great race. What do you want to do? And I hadn't started actually working hands-on my Camaro yet. And it was an opportunity that I knew I would be dumb to say no with my availability and all that stuff. So that's kind of where our relationship started building more. We would see each other at events and stuff like that, but actually working on projects together and being a part of something bigger, that was my first time. And then got introduced to Jesse Combs through Riley through that. So I'm not directly related to Jesse Combs, but I really like what they're doing, and getting indirectly involved is really cool. So it's all about the relationship building and showing up, as you said, Katie, showing up and talking with people, asking questions. And I got plenty of no's, or people that just didn't really know what I was about. So they weren't vibing, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. I just go to talk to somebody else. And it was just the continued showing up and doing, and the consistency. All of my content was consistent. And my social medias didn't have as much of the car stuff on it because I wasn't actively working on my car at the time. So it was more so on the YouTube that was hyper focused on the automotive. But now that I'm actually working on my car, and I'm putting on my first sponsored parts now, the Vintage Air, on my car now, after it took me 2 months to get the Willwood figured out. Not that the Willwood you can't do, it's just newbie here, and I'm trying to figure out all the things. So 3 years later, I'm so pumped about it, and people are asking me, look, how do you get sponsorships? Okay, well, I'm new to this, for one, so I don't have all of the things. But the biggest advice I could give to people is relationship building and providing value. Show up and become undeniable. What you were saying, Katie, about how there's undeniable influencers that you want to approach. That's when you have something to provide that value, where the conversation doesn't go around, well, does this kind of work? Do we have to stretch it? It's no, I want to work with you. We're going to make it work. So that's what I'm aiming towards. I'm still, in my beginning stages in the reality of it, even though I've gotten a lot of progress, I'm still in the beginning stages.
It sounds like though you're taking the right approach of following your heart and what brings you joy and what gives you excitement, which translates over so well into the other things of showing up. You understand value. So that's usually the disconnect. People either have a ton of passion and don't bring enough value, or they bring a ton of value, but then they lack the passion. And so marrying those two together is really just the perfect little recipe. And then just finding your niche, and allowing it to change over time too. Change scares me because I don't want to let other people down. I can be too much of a people pleaser. So I'm I committed to this thing and I don't want to let this down. Even just I've been working with Teresa, with her race team and all of that. But now I might be pushing myself too hard. I just have too many things. So where do I go? Who do I let down? And then I'm no, gotta take care of you as well. So allowing yourself to evolve and grow and change your path and see where it goes. You've got such a good head on your shoulders of what you're doing. I think you're going to find great success allowing yourself to continue to follow your heart and getting involved with all these great people. I just adore Riley. She and all the ladies. I think I actually saw you at SEMA. I was over in the Real Deal booth, helping out. And so I was I know I've met you before. But yeah, you've got a good path going.
And when you talk about the passion marrying with value, I have passion in truckloads. It's the value that like I'm working on, and I still I struggle with the am I bringing enough value? I'm coming into my third tax year as a sole proprietor. I'm not actually bringing income in, but also I don't want to ask for stuff. But it's this all this back end stuff that people don't realize that you go through. Like an influencer is not a plug and play job. You don't just, some people they already have momentum and then they want to be an influencer, but most of the time, you're gaining momentum before you make that decision. And it can be hard, especially being surrounded by badasses like Teresa and Riley and all of these people. It's you become the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most, which is great. I'm surrounded by a bunch of influencers that are where I want to go. They have all this knowledge. They move a lot quicker than me. So that's something with this last SEMA and the Great Race coming up, the new category, 2 of the gals, Annie and Ashley, are both going to be racing in the Great Race. And I really wanted to do it with my Camaro. And I was like, okay, we can get this done. Everything needed to be done on it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Hanging out with all these girls are moving really quickly. I'm like, oh, we built the Fairlane in actually a pretty short period of time. And I see all these people doing SEMA builds that are working on them now. And I really wanted to have my car done, not completely done, but on the road by June to be able to participate. And I was approaching companies this last year at SEMA and PRI to see if maybe I could get a sponsorship to participate in the race and all that other stuff. And then within the last 2 weeks, because as I said, it took me 2 months to get the Willwood brakes on. And that's not even including the master cylinder and the brake lines themselves. It was just the brakes and figuring out how to get them aligned properly. And it's not that the brakes are difficult to do. It's the fact that I have a huge learning curve and I learn slow and I'm learning to accept that and take accountability for that. And Katie, you were talking about change and being accepting of that. I messaged Rick Love with Vintage Air and because they sent me the product in December and I sent him an email going, I want to take accountability. Cause that's, my husband gets on me for this because I get so excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to, go to a car show. I'm going to be there. I'm going to come back. We're going to do this other stuff. I end up staying a lot longer than what I said I wanted. But when I say something, I truly mean it.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Gearheads and Gasoline. We're going to take a quick break here to share a message from our sponsor, Automotive Direct.
Hey, guys, you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. I'm Jason with AMD. Check this out.
I messaged Rick Love with Vintage Air and because they sent me the product in December and I sent him an email going, I want to take accountability. Cause that's my husband gets on me for this because I get so excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to, go to a car show. I'm going to be there. I'm going to come back. We're going to do this other stuff. I end up staying a lot longer than what I said I wanted. But when I say something, I truly mean it. I'm not saying it because I don't mean it. So I'm like, oh, I want to get this. I want to get my car done, whatever. And now that I'm realizing I work a lot slower, I learn a lot slower, and I'm learning to accept that that's my brand book anyway. Why am I trying to be Annie? Why am I trying to be Riley? Why am I trying to be Ashley in terms of how fast they're moving? And yeah, I have FOMO for sure. I really wanted to be a part of the Great Race, but I needed to say no to even participating and riding with one of them because I need to focus on my own build. And maybe if I can swing it, maybe show up for the last day because I want to be there for them. But also taking those trips take out a lot of energy for me. And it takes me a lot because I'm an introvert, right? So in order to recover for doing something like that takes a long time. And I'm just getting back to baseline after all of that traveling with SEMA and PRI and then Media Trade Conference. I am just now within this last week getting back to okay, I can actually have enough mental capacity to vacuum my floors and do all these other things. Like I get overwhelmed with all that stuff. So like in terms of taking that accountability, and like I had approached Richmond to potentially be my sponsor for the Great Race, and they said no. And that's, you're supposed to be you get no's, everybody. You don't get yeses all the time. And I said thank you to them. Like, thank you for taking the time to even like look at my stuff, and that the feedback was honest. And Steve was like, the bit, like, there's other people that their build is a lot further along, and we don't know how your build's going to be. And also I don't have as much reach with my stuff as some other people. And it was great feedback. And I've been meaning to reach back out and kind of not say, yeah, you were right about it, but also like, hey, I'm taking accountability that, like, I kind of feel like I've been lying to myself a little bit, that it's like, oh, I could be done by June. But no, I wasn't lying to myself. I just was really amped up and just didn't realize that it's like, okay, like, my word for this year is breathe, which is fitting. Okay, I'm going to take my time on this stuff. And it's not that I'm not making content. I'm in the garage, like, a non-negotiable is I'm in the garage minimum of 10 minutes every day, minimum. So it's usually like an hour. When you get in the garage, you do a little bit more. But sometimes, like, my husband's like, hey, we need to go somewhere. I'm like, I'm setting my timer for 10 minutes. If I'm not out in 10 minutes, like, come get me. So it's not that I'm not putting in the work. It just takes me a lot longer to process. And like, I was trying to take the dash control panel thing out last night. So that's part of the disassembly process before putting the vintage air in. And I'm like, okay, unscrewing these things. I'm like, why isn't it coming out? I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of wiring that's attached. I did not research how to detach the wiring so I can take all this off. So now I need to look back at that. So I needed to take a break and take a breather.
So here's something that you said a number of things here that I want to touch on. So Motorhead Digital, for example, we've had sponsor my 69 Vet that we're working on, right? And we got into that, Retro Radio supporting us for the Vet. Well, we got into it, and it's like, well, while we're here, might as well put new carpet in and sound deadening and that has to be done before that radio gets in. Plus we live in New York when it's like been 10 below here. So the shop's cold. So we're way behind on that. And I think, and they were thankful that I just reached out and said, guys, this isn't going to get in as soon as we'd like it to, because we're responsible for getting videos of the install and things like that. And I think companies that are willing to work with you, whether they provide product or discounts or whatever, as long as you communicate with them and keep them up to date on what's going on, they get it. They understand the stuff that, especially in your case, this isn't what you do every day. If it's a shop, that's, they probably want to have a little higher expectation, right? But also for other influencers and people listening to this, you have to show up. For us, when the first year we went to the SEMA show, we spoke, but I really felt like an outsider. I was talking to people, attempting to talk to people that I looked up to, that I felt were know that they were major people in the industry. Some people talked to me, others didn't. I joined Armo, put that hard card on. It was like night and day. And I'm sure Katie has felt this too. It really, I do believe it's a big family, and they see that and they go, oh, you're one of us, you're supporting us, you're volunteering. I don't know if you've gotten, Christina, if you've gotten involved with SBN or any of the councils, or even looked at joining any of those, but if you haven't, I think you should.
I did try talking to them, and I think because I'm not like I'm business, but I'm not like a business, that I think there's like some like logistical things. Because I did try to join SBN, but like I know that things are also changing, because they also added SEMA Plus, which
actually,
like is a little bit
that
different.
Might be changing, but
I think that went away.
That went away.
Okay, so like yeah.
But we'll have to talk more about that, because if you're set up as a business, like you as an influencer, definitely set yourself up as like an LLC or something. We can talk more about that for many reasons. Because I have my own business where I'm a contractor. not construction contractor, contract work. But you can join SEMA under that then. So it can help you not only from a business standpoint, but also from those connections. And you could become a PRI member as well, just on your own accord, which would be huge, like huge connections.
I think there's logistical there because my tax lady's like, sole proprietor because I don't like the LLC, especially in California kind of thing. So like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow your lead because I don't know what to do in this
as
regard.
you get more into it, LLC gives you more protection. Just understand that.
Yep.
And people look at when you create an LLC, they know you put in the work to become a legitimate business, right? Without the huge expense, I think anyways. What's your thought on that?
Well, I don't know why. I'm a C Corp.
Oh, well, that's even
I
higher,
don't
right? There's different.
Yeah, I don't know why,
Fancy.
and it's just me. But it was what my accountant, she works with a lot of overseas military contractors, and said to set up as a C Corp.
Depends who you're working with. They might say, look, because you might work with these people, a C Corp's better. If you're just an LLC, they won't even hire you. They won't even look at you. But a sole proprietor, is like the bottom of the food chain when it comes to business and things like that. But where I was going with our experience with SEMA and get involved with ARMO is you talked about going and meeting people. Well, you may have to do that at the SEMA show, at the PRI show, multiple years, right? But be seen, have conversations. Don't expect something from a company instantly, right? Retro Radio, I had a relationship with a marketing manager there way before we even talked about radios for the Corvette. And when I approached him about it, I was just saying, do you have a radio that fits my car? And what does that look like? Oh, yeah. He goes, picks up his phone. Yeah. He says, well, just let us know what you need and we'll send it. Just, we'll take care of you. I wasn't even asking for that. I'm like, cool. So.
Yeah. You're like, I just want the product knowledge because you know your product.
Yeah, exactly. We were at Spring Carlisle and they had a booth there. I got talking to them. And the next thing you know, we got boxes of stuff, product. So we've made a point to doing multiple videos on it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't look at myself as an influencer, but we do have a podcast and a business and everything like that. But Christina, you talked about working with Riley. We've had Riley on the podcast and her dad. They're one of our customers. What did you learn from what they're doing and the other gals that are working with that actually helped improve what you're doing now, and think about, maybe, how you're working into an influencer role in the automotive space?
It was really encouraging. So when we were doing the Great Race, we all had cameras out, right? And I have been surrounded by people who do content, but not to that extent before. And it was interesting trying to learn how to navigate. And then it really came together when we went back out to Florida to get the Fairlane ready for SEMA. Camera here, camera here, camera here, camera here. We did one install for an engine. All of us had content that looked different. And it was one install, an engine is not one part, but we could say one thing as a whole going into the vehicle. And you get all of these different perspectives, all these different voices. And it was really encouraging for me that it's like, I do bring something different to the table. The type of content that I put together is different. My personality is different, and leaning into that. And because of doing Great Race, going to Florida to work on the Fairlane, and then Road to SEMA, I felt, okay, I can actually start working on my car now. It was that confidence being around people and that they were actually putting in the work. Like most of the time, I wasn't hands-on with the working on everything through that whole process. I was more watching everybody else and just trying to see what everybody's doing, try to get a better idea. I was not confident enough to really get in there to wrench myself. And especially there were so many people, I do better in small groups in terms of being more outgoing. Like I'm okay to sit back and watch everybody else do and talk. And I had a job. I'm recording and do all this stuff. Everybody said they loved my YouTube videos from the Great Race because I was up to like 4 a.m. every night after like the whole day because I was like, I'm going to put out a YouTube video every night. And people are going back and rewatching. We're all laughing because I would catch things on camera that were like, you caught that on camera? Yes, I did actually. And it was perfect for those of us that were like in the moment. We could go back and rewatch it. So I knew that was what I brought to the table. And I think that I create content differently than most of the other people that I talk to. And especially like I make mistakes on camera. I ask a lot of questions and I'm not afraid of looking stupid, even though like sometimes I feel kind of dumb. Like recently I've been feeling really, what's the word for it? What's the word for not feeling educated? I feel like like it's one of those things where it's like, I know I'm doing well. This is great. Like I'm making a lot of progress, but at the same time,
Like an
I'm like, I feel
imposter?
dumb.
You have imposter syndrome?
Incompetent.
That's what Katie was saying, imposter.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what it is. So, there was a lot of really positive things from working with Riley and all of them, and also imposter syndrome. So, like the imposter syndrome is a sign of growth. Like you need to be, if you're in a room and you're very comfortable in that room, it means that you're in the wrong room. You need to go to a room where you're uncomfortable because not uncomfortable like you're going against your own personality kind of uncomfortable. The uncomfortable where you're like, wow, I need to bring more to the table. And wow, they're doing a lot. Wow, they're really far ahead. You want to be surrounded by those people that also want to help you learn. Like if they're talking down to you and being, whatever, you can make your own table and have other people sit at your table at that point. But, like all of them have been really great, really encouraging, and it inspired me to really, really jump in because I was afraid of touching my car by myself. I wanted someone else there with me, and honestly, like none of the gals really live close to me. Like they don't, and it makes it like I struggle a little bit. I'm like, what if I can, have some of them come to the house and help me work on it, which, maybe in the future, because I was only able to attend all of that because of the sponsors that went through Riley that had funding. Like my travel and stuff was sponsored, mostly by Peak Auto. And like I made sure I was like, thank you guys so much. I wouldn't have been able to participate because of that. And I was like, well, it'd be cool to have some people come out to help me work on my car throughout this process. The thing is that everybody else can work on their car by themselves, and then when people come, it's great. No, I struggle working on it by myself. So that's been a whole process to learn, like, okay, it's okay that I'm struggling with how many shims that go into this to have the brakes sit on perfect, and that I have to take off. I don't even know how many times I took off and put on the brakes, which is great because I definitely know how to put them on and take them off now. But yeah.
Exactly. That one of the things that has helped me over the years is it's all about seat time. And you're just gaining seat time now. You're getting all that experience and building it up, and the hands-on approach is going to give you the experience when you need it most.
I learn better hands-on anyway.
Oh yeah.
Me
You're
too.
lucky. You live in an era where you can go to YouTube and ask lots of questions and get videos where it shows how to do it. I grew up in an era where we didn't have a shop manual. We had to just figure it out, right? So anyways,
You were born in the Jimmy Rig era.
what's that?
You're from the
Oh, yeah,
Jimmy Rig
absolutely.
era.
Hey, so what's been the hardest part of this journey for you so far?
The lack of knowledge that's been hard, and also, with my physical disability. So I retired out due to low back injury. So like sitting for too long, or like I can't lift certain things, and it's like a combination of that where I'll get really hard on myself sometimes, and that's, back into my mental health stuff, along with, I'm literally by myself in my garage as a newbie trying to figure this out. Yeah, going to YouTube, yeah, watching all this stuff. And I mean, the instructions, like the Willwood instructions, were very clear, like really detailed and stuff like that. But still at the same time, I feel like, I know I'm not dumb, but the emotion that I'm feeling is that I feel dumb. I feel down on myself. But when I actually get it done, that win is so much more worth it versus like, oh, I put it on within an hour. Fine. No, it took me 2 months to get all 4 brakes on. And I'm like, yes, I did that. So the hardest part has also become the most rewarding at the same time. So usually you say your greatest weakness is your greatest strength. And in this particular area, my lack of experience and lack of knowledge, I think also when it comes to being an influencer and creating content, I think that also is my greatest strength because most people do not post online when they don't know what the heck they're doing. They wait until they know what they're doing. So people make comments on some of my stuff going, you should blah, 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 you should stop. But there's some people that are super supportive that have been following me for a while. They go into the comments and be like, dude, she's not saying that she knows everything. She says she's learning, so stop being a jerk.
That was my next thing I was going to go to, because you had one post when you first started doing the brakes. And I just want to preface this. I'm a huge supporter of SBN and the women in the industry. And we actually sponsored the Women's Forum. We're one of the sponsors. And when I saw the comments, you had made a comment, somebody had made a comment about, hire a guy to do that or something. I can't remember the exact comment. It pissed me off when I saw that. And I think I made a comment on your post when I saw that. And I'm like, what's your thoughts on that? And what do you say to other gals that want to get into the industry, whether they're an influencer like yourself or actually want to work on cars every day or want to work for a company in the marketing space like Katie is or whatever? What's your thoughts on that? Because, that stuff can really take you down when people are idiots like that.
Well, especially nowadays, like before, like there was a lot of men doing it, right? Now there's a lot of men that don't know how to do stuff on cars either. And I've talked to many guys that are like, I'm kind of bummed I can't work on cars with my friends because I feel kind of dumb about it. So my take is that it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a girl. It's just I don't know. Like, it has nothing to do with the fact that I need to get a man in here. It's like, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that I'm a newbie. I don't know what I'm doing and I got to figure it out. And I want to speak to not just women. I want to speak to people in general, men and women, that, hey, if you have an interest, like, especially as a girl in general, we're expected to not know. But like men in general are expected to already know. And if they don't know, you're dumb or whatever. But if a girl tries when you're actually making progress, they're like, oh, you need it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys. Usually, to me, that reeks insecurity. That people who are truly successful and truly know what they're doing, they're not going to look in the rearview mirror to talk smack about people. If you're winning a race, you're not looking behind you. You're looking forward. You're like, this is cool. I'm going forward. And for the majority, the men that I've interacted with are super supportive.
That's
like
good to hear.
It gives a bad rep. And I know that a lot of people that I have talked to have in-person interactions with, like, in a workspace where there are a bunch of men that are not supportive. And I am, as I mentioned before, I came from a first responder background and I worked with a lot of men. Yeah, you're going to have people, just people in general, because I've interacted with a lot of women. Like I was telling you before, I'm just now making girlfriends.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
They're worse than men a lot of the time because they go like, not the surface level, get in the kitchen, you should get a man. No, girls get like mean. They pick that insecurity, they see it, and then they like rub dirt in it. So like, as a girl, I think I'm pretty used to getting bullied by other girls. So it's an interesting thing that like we put a lot of focus, because unfortunately negativity or toxicity is more contagious than positivity. And when you think about like a fish tank and you put like a little, like the pH just a little bit off, just a tiny bit, then it kills all the fish in the tank. Like that's what happens with negativity. So it can stick out to you. Like you get all these amazing comments. Like I've had some of those posts like that where people are super supportive, like a lot of encouragement, and then you get one of those that they're like, "Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh, nyeh." And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, like consciously, I'm like, that's dumb. It doesn't matter. But like, it does affect me to a certain extent because I do care and I do post. Like I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like my vulnerability is my greatest strength and my greatest weakness because I struggle with all this stuff. It's like, okay, I'm going to tell you all the things that I'm messing up. Like the fact that I sit cross-legged sometimes and I don't wear shoes when I sit cross-legged and just working on a tiny thing like this, people are like yelling at me about my shoes and they're like, you are a first responder, you should know. It's like, dude, if I walk around my garage and I'm moving stuff, I'm putting actual shoes on. Like I'm not going to walk around barefoot and stuff. But if I'm like sitting like in the thing, so it's just, I was thinking about that a lot. Like I bring it up because it's been on my mind that people are like, your shoes, your shoes, your shoes. It's like, I want to be able to wear my pajama pants working on my car, and I'm not being stupid, like, but
maybe they're just
sometimes
concerned for you, right?
Yeah. It's like, I don't care, but I do. Like, it would be lying if I said that, stuff like that didn't affect me. But I do the best I can to still be authentic. And like Brent sent me shoes, which was really funny. Like, it's great because I needed, a composite toe to make sure that when I do move heavier things or whatever that I do protect my feet. And tennis shoes aren't going to save you. Like, if you drop something, like people like put shoes on. I'm like, the only thing I have is tennis shoes. That is not going to save me for something heavy dropping on my foot. I might as well just be barefoot at that point.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, I don't know. It's a lot of like, Katie, like ebbs and flows, right? There's like, like you have the pros and cons and the things. It's always like a constant. Like I kind of talk about it like Eeyore and Tigger. I have an Eeyore and Tigger like all the time living in my head. And at the same time, like I can feel super excited and bummed out and kind of hard at myself at the same exact time. Like we think that you only have one thought or one emotion at one time. But, I can grieve my dad, like underneath the dash, working on things that my dad had hands on and be excited that I'm continuing this project while also missing the crap out of him because, like, I don't like asking people for help. I don't like to be a burden. And the only person that it bothers is my husband's best friend. So I feel bad having him come over all the time to help me, but I don't have anybody that's like right around the corner that I could be like, hey, can you come over and kind of help me that actually teaches in a way that works well for me. Like my husband's friend draft is great. Like he'll give me feedback and then walk off and hang out with my husband and let me do my thing. Like there are many people that I know.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's so nice. He's a great teacher. But my father-in-law, like he's very knowledgeable, but I know he will take over the project. Not like he's trying to, but I just know that that's how he's going to work. So like I know certain people that I don't want to ask because they won't, the way that they teach is not how I learn.
Yeah, you need a coach. So I'm an educator in a variety of things, but specifically four-wheel drive, off-road driving, recovery, and I coach. I prefer coaching style of I'm going to instruct you of this is the right way to do it. Here's the reasons why. Now let's go do it. So I don't want to tell you exactly how it's going to go step by step. Always give you the principles, but then I want to see what you do so I can correct your motions. Just like, what was it? I was doing something recently. It was at the women's forum and, someone asked me how they would approach a situation. And I was like, well, how would you approach it? Because I wanted to hear what they would say because I didn't want them to reiterate exactly what I would say, because then in the moment, they're not going to be able to replicate that. So it comes back to that same thing. You are looking for a coach that's going to actually develop your skill set versus try to impose their skill set onto you. But something you said that really stuck out to me was, working through these situations and having to not only navigate your own learning curve, but then also the dynamic of authenticity. And I think it's great that you sit cross-legged and don't wear shoes, because you are not trying to come off as an expert. If I did that and didn't wear gloves and didn't have eye pro and things like that, I would get annihilated. But that's because I'm coming from an educator standpoint where I am teaching others this is the right way to do. So everything I do, if someone posts a picture of me and I'm doing a recovery and I don't have gloves on, I'm like, delete it, get rid of it. Like, why didn't I have gloves on? I don't know why. But for you, it is part of you and where you're at and how you like to do things. So if people give you a hard time about it, yeah, me as an educator, I'd be like, put some effing shoes on, because you're stressing me out. You're going to lose your toes. But like you said, you're just sitting on a stool. It's not like you're moving heavy stuff. It's like me. I'm sitting at my desk and I'm wearing leggings and no shoes, and I sit cross-legged in my work chair a lot. So all that to say, don't let these people influence your authenticity, because it's fantastic. And if you do get to the point where you are trying to say like, okay, now I've learned, I have these expertise areas, that's when that shift comes of like, okay, yeah, I can't post anything where I don't have eye pro, I don't have gloves, I don't have my steel-toed boots on, etc., because then it comes to I am influencing others' behaviors and others' perception of safety. And the perception of safety is a big one for me.
And you'll know when you're at that point. I'm assuming Christina will go, yeah, I got to stop that, because, we have this many followers and people are actually listening to what I say and maybe even following my lead. So I have one more question for you that's been sitting here, Christina, before we do the speed round is, what's next for the Gearhead and training?
I'm working on my Camaro.
Other than that, I was going to say after that, I'm sure you got to have goals,
Well, my goal is to get it running, and I want to be able to drive places with it. I am building it to be drivable. I want to be able to go to car shows. I want to be able to participate in things like the Great Race or the Hot Rod Power Tour and all those other things. But also, I didn't do it on purpose. It just kind of happened that I built in to my personal brand that I can go and work on other people's projects, like with Riley and Riley's Rebuilds. I like learning how things are made. So manufacturer tours, like I put out in the universe that I've always wanted to go to Japan. It would be really cool to go to Japan and see what the car culture is like there, or go to Australia and see what the gassers are like. And it's all built in already, because the videos that I started off initially were shop tours, were interviewing people, and it's not that I'm going to stop doing that. It's just this season, when you talk about TV shows with different seasons, this season is working on my Camaro. That's the hyper focus, and some other things, because the Mustang got mold in it. So like my brother's Mustang, I'm learning how to work on that one too. So like being hands-on and actually wrenching is where I'm at right now. And then after this, to actually drive my car and participate in different things. I would love to participate in Road to SEMA with my Camaro at some point, and do all of those things, and then collaborate with other people. I don't, like, at least at this point, I don't need additional cars. Like, we don't have room for enough cars, and my husband does not. When we're having conversations of, oh, Jeff says that I need to get a compressor because we've got a flat tire on the Mustang now, and so I can't drive it anywhere. And he's like, you need to get a compressor. You're going to need it from other things. You definitely want to buy it brand new because you don't want to get it used and potentially have it not work or whatever. And my husband's looking at me like, how much is that going to cost? So at this point, I don't have any other cars for me to buy, but my brother has a 69 El Camino. My stepmother has a T-Bird. And other things that haven't been running, things haven't, like oil hasn't been changed or any of that. So I want to bring that knowledge to be able to work on my family's vehicles and teach them. And it's kind of cool. I'm making videos working on my brother's Mustang, so that when my brother wants to do the oil change or whatever on his car, he's going to be able to watch the videos of me doing it actually on his car. So he'll know how to do it as well. So that's who knows how big after that. Like, it would be neat to have enough influence that, like, I will be sponsored to travel to other countries to do stuff like that. It would be neat to be a part of, some bigger things, like larger goals, right? It would be really neat to go and work on other people's cars all over the place and and be able to share from that perspective that you don't have to own a car to participate in the culture. You don't have to be a mechanic to participate in the culture. I feel like from the general perspective of people that want to get into it, they think you have to be a racer, you have to own a car, you have to have a ton of money in order to do all these things. But there's so many other ways you can get involved that I want to share those different perspectives with people and bring that authenticity into it. So, overarching, I want to make a bigger impact. My dad actually wanted to open up a shop after he retired to have kids in the neighborhood. He actually had plans to build a house and then a hideaway garage underneath it. And he was in the middle of getting those plans before he passed, and he wanted to open a shop down there to let kids in the neighborhood just come in because, as I told you, he'd get into trouble, right? He wanted to help keep other kids out of getting into trouble, teach them some skills. And I'm not going to open up a shop myself, but I want to think, moving forward, I want to make an impact that carries his memory in mind with that, along with my own kind of twist.
That's awesome. And we just released an episode yesterday. We haven't promoted it yet. Do you know who Aaron Valencia is from Lost Angels Career Center?
No.
Look him up. Watch our episode. He is in California. You're in California, right? We're in California.
Yeah, I'm Sacramento.
I think he's closer to LA. But he's doing just what your father wanted to do, but he built it from a hot rod shop, bringing young people in, disadvantaged youth, things like that. Now they have a whole career center. It's amazing. It's one of our best episodes. You got to watch it. But anyways, I'm going to do a speed round here. We have 4 questions. I don't want you to think too deep into them, but please, right off the top of your head, the first question is, what's your favorite driver or team? Hot rod, muscle car, or truck?
I don't really know much about the racers and the teams and stuff like that. Just favorite car in general, 69 Camaro. That's
I kind of figured that would be
I'm biased.
For that one. Okay. What's your favorite tool in your toolbox?
My phone. That I can reference it, but also that's what I use to record and communicate with other people. So I wouldn't be able to do anything with the tools that I have in my toolbox without having my phone.
I was waiting for you to say zip ties.
That one's mine.
That was Katie's, and it's the best. I'm sorry. I've heard phone before, but when Katie said zip ties, I was like, what? Okay. But then she explained it. And I was like, that is so cool. All right. Do you have a favorite racetrack, automotive event, or car show?
I don't have a favorite. I feel like they all bring something different to the table. In terms of my progress and being able to move forward, you know what? Hot August Nights. Because my dad would go there, and that's actually the first place that I went for guidance when I first started everything.
Great.
So, that's
what I thought you might say.
Me too. I was
I was like, I feel like Hot August Nights brought you was that crux moment,
it's a lit the fire. Yeah, the spark to lit the fire kind of get you going on all this. Yeah, Katie, you're exactly what I was thinking. Okay, the last one, and usually the hardest one. What's the best advice you've ever received, and from whom?
Just get out there and do it. Even though I'm asking all these questions, second guessing myself, doing all the things. And that was more recently. Jeff was like, just get out there and do that. And that's my husband's friend that's been helping me. Yeah. That. And then with working on the brakes, because I kept asking him, can you help me or whatever? He's like, just get out there and do it. It's okay. He's like, I make mistakes, and he works as a mechanic professionally. He's like, it's okay. You're going to make mistakes. Just go out there. You're not going to hurt it. Just go out there and do it. So that encouragement was really helpful.
That's awesome. Well, Christina, Katie, thanks for your first episode as a guest co-host. Thanks everyone for tuning in and taking this journey with us. Christina, tell us how people can find you online, how they can reach out to you, things like that.
Social media, I'm under Christina Lardie, and then on YouTube, it's Christina's Garage Gearhead in Training.
Nice. Just search for Gearhead in Training. You'll find Christina. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're feeling your success.
We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.